Happy inaugural day. Today was the second inaugural speech by President Obama. He being really only the second president since FDR, a Democratic president, to give a second inaugural address. Who else had two terms? Clinton, right. So Clinton gave a second inaugural address. FDR gave a second inaugural address. Johnson didn't. He served a term and a half. Carter served one term. Kennedy served less than a term. So that's it. In any case, the second inaugural address of President Obama, the main theme of this thing was we. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant in that regard. It was really all about we. He kept using that word over. And in fact, I would say, if anything, there's a whole lot of different explanations about what an inaugural address is supposed to do, and theories, and it's supposed to set the tone, and or maybe it lays out a legislative agenda, although more often than not, that's the State of the Union address, which is coming up in a few more weeks. But mostly it defines the frame. And what he did with this, by starting out by quoting Thomas Jefferson in the Declaration of Independence, the "we hold these truths to be self-evident" phrase, and then going through this list of together we determined that a modern economy, etc. Together we discovered that a free market, etc. Together we resolved that a great nation, etc. I'm going to play some of these clips for you in a minute, but preserving our individual freedoms, he says, ultimately requires collective action. And then he actually gives examples. No single person can train all the math and science teachers we'll need to equip our children for the future, or build the roads and networks and research labs. Now more than ever, we need to do these things together. The entire frame of this entire speech was "we are we." And in fact, I mean, the big meme, the giant frame of libertarianism, is that there literally is no we. Ayn Rand, Paul Ryan, all these crazed right-wing philosophers, Milton Friedman, economists, suggest that there is no society. There is only a group of individuals together. And they horribly misquote Adam Smith, where he talked about, by preferring the product of domestic manufacturer to foreign, he is guided by an invisible hand, blah, 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 blah. Adam Smith is actually talking about the stupidity of free trade laws. I mean, but no, they somehow think that what that means is that if everybody acts selfishly, then everybody, an entire nation of selfish individuals acting in their own selfish best interests will somehow produce some magical good for everybody. And it doesn't work that way. It's never worked that way. It isn't what Adam Smith said. In fact, Adam Smith, in 1776, he published Wealth of Nations. He wrote another book called A Theory of Moral Sentiments, which basically rebutted the entire notion that if we all act selfishly, everything will be good. So President Obama, through this speech, kept saying over and over and over again, we. This frame we. And he just stuck it to the Paul Ryan and Ayn Rand and libertarian and selfish Republican bunch of the world whose main, this is clip 8, Shano, whose main meme is there are takers and there are makers. Paul Ryan's been doing, this has been Paul Ryan's stump speech since he first ran for Congress, that about a third of America are takers. They just take from the government. Right? So whether it's Social Security or food stamps or welfare or whatever, Paul Ryan sees them as leeches, as takers. And then the other 2/3 of us are makers, but the real makers, in other words, we work for a living, but the real makers in Paul Ryan's world are the job creators. They are the ultimate makers. They are the billionaires. So there's takers and makers. President Obama had a few words for Congressman Ryan. Here it is.
The commitments we make to each other through Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, these things do not sap our initiative, they strengthen us. They do not make us a nation of takers. They free us to take the risks that make this country great.
There you go. And I mean, and in fact, he said what preceded that. He said, "We do not believe that in this country freedom is reserved." I think this is one of the most brilliant parts of the speech. "We do not believe in this country freedom is reserved for the lucky or happiness for the few." Notice he's starting with we. I mean, we recognize that no matter how responsibly we live our lives, any one of us at any time may face a job loss or a sudden illness or a home swept away in a terrible storm. The commitments we make to each other through Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, these things do not sap our initiative. They strengthen us. They do not make us a nation of takers. They free us to take the risks that make this country great. And then the following paragraphs, the next paragraph begins, "We, the people, still believe that our obligations as Americans are not just to ourselves, but to all posterity." Then the next paragraph, "We, the people, still believe that enduring security and lasting peace do not require perpetual war." And then the next one, "We will defend our people and uphold our values through strength of arms and rule of law." And then the next paragraph, and I mean, there's all kinds of sentences in between, but the next paragraph, "We, the people, declare today that the most evident truths, that all of us are created equal, is the star that guides us still." And then he says, "Our journey is not complete until our wives," and he talks specifically, he starts calling out rights that are not yet fulfilled. I mean, he starts out with the Declaration of Independence saying all men are created equal. You know, this great and noble ideal, and he talks about how we haven't always lived that out. But we've gotten better and better and better over the years. And so now he gets down to a little bit of nitty-gritty here. He says, "Our journey is not complete until our wives, our mothers, and daughters can earn a living equal to their efforts." That would be that equal pay for equal work law that the Republicans filibustered in the Senate. He said, "Our journey is not complete until our gay brothers and sisters are treated like anyone else under the law. For if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to one another must be equal as well." You know, that let's do away with that Defense of Marriage Act that the Republicans, John Boehner actually used taxpayer dollars to hire a private law firm to defend in court. And let's have, the right to marriage equality as a right nationwide, straight or gay. He said, "Our journey is not complete until no citizen is forced to wait for hours to exercise the right to vote." Take that, John Kasich, Tom Corbett, Rick Snyder, Rick Scott. He said, "Our journey is not complete until we find a better way to welcome the striving, hopeful immigrants who see America as a land of opportunity." Take that, Sheriff Joe, and all your crazed buddies, until bright young students and engineers are enlisted in our workforce rather than expelled from our country. And then he says, "For now, decisions are upon us, and we cannot afford to." Over and over and over again, he's using us and we. That is the big frame. He said, "We can't substitute spectacle for politics or treat name-calling as reasoned debate." And in the very last paragraph, he says, "With common effort and common purpose, let us answer the call of history." Yeah. A brilliant job of establishing the "we, the people," the first three words of the Constitution, the "we, the people" frame.